Hi, everyone. How was your day? Your day of action and commitments? I was really excited by hearing some of the conversations. So we had 8 workshops, 8 action areas. And so I'm really curious actually to hear from each one of them, hear what has been happening, and what are the commitments and actions that are here. Let's start with, okay, Seb's not here. Drew, do you want to, no, Drew? No. Okay, we're missing some of the workshop leaders who are probably wrapping up a very interesting conversation. So, Amel, if you would like to go first and tell us a bit more about how we're mainstreaming outcome-based financing.
Thank you very much. There was a very intense workshop. So I would say 3 words, beneficiaries, partnerships, and moment for scale. So start working with government on a policy issue, on a beneficiary need. That's the first thing, and not with the tool. Once you've started there, create partnerships with investors, service providers, different administrations to collaborate together. And that actually brings us to the moment of scale. And we've talked about supporting each other with a lot of knowledge and expertise gap that's happening. So to share that, and that for some countries also to leapfrog, to move away from individual transaction to creating bigger outcomes fund and learning from those who have gone through that journey.
Wow, wonderful. Thanks a lot, Amel. Seb, what happened in informal settlements?
Hi, Chris. We had a fascinating discussion with great speakers and attendees. I guess that the baseline message is that when we discuss the development of slums or informal settlements or tackle urban informality, we are talking about the whole of society, because urban informality is the most brutal manifestation of injustice and inequality in the territory. So it's never about just the slum. It's never about just the slum dweller. And speakers made it very clear. All society faces the cost of inequality and of urban informality, but all society can benefit from the value of investing consistently in upgrading these communities. All society must benefit, and private capital has a key role to play to scale up solutions. So we heard amazing insights from folks in the capital markets, from folks in the world of habitat, and especially from experts in the social impact space that called us to define very concise, very compelling outcome frameworks to make the case that investing in the development of informal settlements in the end is investing in the whole of our society. So I want to thank everyone who joined these discussions, and thanks to everyone at the GSG for giving the space to think about this in a very disrupted, forward-looking, innovative way at a moment in time where it is more needed, and we cannot sit idle when 1 billion people are living in the worst possible conditions in the global south.
Thanks, Seb. Sounds like a very inspiring couple of sessions, and we're looking forward to watching them on demand. I'd like now to call David Banks on how we build a compelling narrative for our movement.
So the words is, it's impact on, not risk off, it's impact on. That impact investing has to have a new confidence that it has the solutions that capitalism needs, that capitalists need. They need us more than we need them. And the challenge is, of course, that impact has to deliver the change the world needs in order to justify that new confidence. So that was trying to be the new narrative, be the change, as it were. In terms of very specific things, let me just give you 3. One is Imperative 21 is launching this weekend. It's imperative21.co. They're doing a lot of narrative reframing work. Everybody should check it out. The other suggestion came up, an impact for dummies, a book, or maybe not a book anymore, but a media effort to make this much more accessible and out of the bubble and more tangible. And the third, of course, is read and contribute to Impact Alpha, where we chart this new narrative every day and every week. Had to get that in. Thank you.
Thanks, David. Yeah, definitely a role for media to play, right? Thanks a lot. Drew, happy to see you in. How was your workshop about accelerating capital for SMEs in Africa? What were the main commitments?
So I'm still trying to catch my breath because it was an hour and a half of rapid discussion about engagement. So my quick takeaways are just a little framing. It was 7 discussants to frame out what they saw as issues and opportunities. And it was a blend of people working, local capital providers and local players, and those global institutional players. So I think a perfect representation of the GSG and the NABs kind of all in one small group. In a very rapid way, the whole purpose of ours was a workshop. It was not really a panel of ideas, but really, here's my challenges, my opportunities, and here's how I'd like to collaborate or need collaboration. And I can say coming out of it, and again, if I'm speaking fast, it really was the nature of what was happening. There are very specific activities for some of the people in the call to get off this call, and Cliff, you'll be really pleased, just like get on another call between the two of them and start getting things done today. And so there was that. There was also some much more strategic issues that the NABs themselves have challenged with, which are regulatory issues that people would love to avoid, but they're out there causing real constraints. But what I can say is specifically, the Zambia NAB raised a whole bunch of opportunities for what they're trying to be challenged with or deal with, which will not only bring people together to help them think about the problem, but also how that problem, which is engaging the central bank, i.e. the national players and local capital, how that might be a model for other countries at the NAB level. DFC, it's amazing. I think everybody's intimidated by who they are. They couldn't have been more open and engaged in offering connections and engagement. They already are now working with 2 of the players on the call about getting them capital. So very real time, but also very importantly was their linkage to, how to start thinking about institutional capital really down at the lower level, and their openness to really start engaging on that. And then from another player that was in this room, which was our Gideus Foundation, all of the work they've been doing on the technical assistance BDS side, and everybody going, wow, that's things we need. How do we leverage it? So again, bringing all that together. And then another big area, which was the digital data, basically how to bring value, how to recognize there is value in digital data in terms of accessing finance. And it's kind of interesting to think we basically in that brought together probably 2 people that could have been further apart in the spectrum: EcoBank, i.e. a big bank, and Lendable, a 3-year, 5-year-old startup doing digital finance. So the 2 of them talking about digital capital going forward. So lots of things going to come together. And I think with all of you, with Joe's help, we'll have very specific action items coming out of this for the SME Access to Finance Working Group for Africa.
Thanks a lot, Drew. Lots of collaborations already happening and more to follow. So let us know if you want to join that working group. And now I'm calling on Eric Rice from BlackRock on how we move from billions to trillions. Eric.
Thanks, Krisztina. Thanks, everyone. We could never have done this without running out of time. So we have even more ideas to classify afterwards. But the basic message is we're doing great. We've gone from millions and billions to hundreds of billions, but we need to up our game. And so there are 5 points where summarize what this consists of. One is better and more understandable standards of impact measurement and management. Second is educate everybody, ourselves, advisors, governments, the world about impact. I love the impact for dummies idea that Drew mentioned. And then collaborate. We need to up our collaboration with philanthropy, with governments, with DFIs, among ourselves. in so many ways and for so many purposes. Fourth one is product. We need more and more diverse and more creative offerings. We need to have more in the public markets. We need to democratize by having more retail offerings of impact. And fifth and finally is asset owners need to know what their power is, need to recognize how much power they have to demand more and better and diverse impact investing.
Thanks, Eric. This is great, and it's a perfect bridge to the next one, which is on asset owners. Yvonne, tell us a bit more about what happened in your workshop.
Thank you, Krisztina. We had 1.5 hours of very rich discussion with 8 great panelists, and I must say, for a Friday afternoon, very active participants, lots of questions, even discussion. And well, obviously for pension funds as asset owners, knowledge and scale are important. However, it all starts with investment beliefs. And those beliefs are influenced by many different stakeholders, by the trustees, who are, of course, the ones formulating those beliefs, but they're also influenced by regulators, by beneficiaries, by asset managers, by investment consultants. And we need common language. And we came to the conclusion that the SDGs in itself provide a good basis for common language. And the SDGs in the current COVID-19 crisis, of course, we all can, even without doing any research, we can all know that the SDG financing gap has grown, and especially in emerging markets. And we discussed that impact investing in emerging markets is more critical than ever. DFIs can help. I think I see indeed a lot of similarities with the recommendations of the previous group. We need a lot. We need harmonized metrics. We need better reporting, but we also concluded perfect is the enemy of good. We should just go on the journey and learn from each other.
Well, I'll retain that one last line, which is really important. Thank you so much. And now I would like to call Karen from OECD. Really looking forward to hearing what happened in your conversation.
Great, thank you, Krisztina. We were talking about getting impact into government decisions, and we were a small but very powerful group. And we actually have 8 recommendations, which I'll go through very quickly. The first one is engage government. We need to collaborate with government between the private sector and with other stakeholders. And that leads to the second point. We need to help build capacity in government. Government officials are not experts in this area, so we really need to work with them to build awareness and help change mindsets. 3, we need to identify champions, both within government and outside of government. And I think the whole creation of the task force and the GSG in the UK is an example of that. 4, COVID has highlighted the need for, or the fact that issues are interconnected. Environment, social issues, financial markets, and we need integrated approaches. And again, we need to work with governments to help them understand how we can move towards integrated approaches. 5, the importance of data, real-time data and measurement. And there are a lot of tools and approaches out there, but how to use them and how to move towards some standards as well, and how to build the kind of support we need, particularly for data infrastructure. 6, education. We need to get this topic into the curriculum in schools, starting early if we're talking about changing mindsets. 7, how to balance the longer term vision and agenda of building back better with the pressure on governments to act now, to need to act now. And 8, and we heard this Wednesday in the session on policy, the forum on policy, the importance of having greater international collaboration. and sharing between governments about best practice and how to move forward and trying to move together more quickly. And I hope that the OECD can help play a role in that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Governments definitely have a really important role to play. And last but not least, Clara on impact transparency for corporates and investors.
Thank you, Krisztina. I am feeling very optimistic after our session. If you combine the themes I want to talk about with what else is happening around the world today. So several of the other speakers have talked about measurement, harmonization of measurement, and how do we get there. The themes that came up in our session, which was focused on that, told me that for the first theme, we are actually beyond the question now of whether this can be done, and indeed, even I would argue whether it can be harmonized. We're at a point now where there was widespread acceptance in our session that GRI and SASB as established standards should be used. Let's get on with it. They can play a complementary function to each other. And they respect what Emmanuel Faber was just describing, the fact that there are impacts on the world that then in turn have impacts on the business. And we need standards to cover both of those things. The second theme was that the fact that we are at that point of acceptance with regard to the role of those standards provides the perfect basis for a rapid journey toward impact-weighted accounts. And so what we heard in the second part of the session was that we ran a small poll, and we had about 50 participants, and people felt we were 6 or 7 on a scale of 10 towards actually being able to achieve that kind of vision, which I have to say, to me, is a big step change from where we were even last year. And I'm really encouraged by that. And I think what people are eager to see, and this again was very much echoed by what I heard Emmanuel Faber saying, was people really look at that. What is the socioeconomic value? What do our current accounts tell us? How do you put those together and tell your shareholders a meaningful story about value? And I think for me, again, that was something that everyone should take away as a very positive trajectory. And the third point, which doesn't get talked about as much as it should do in measurement circles, that came up was, how do we connect measurement to purpose? And the interesting question from the group listening was, impact investors hold intentionality very dear. What is the relationship between what we learn from measuring and intention? And that took us into a conversation about purpose. And again, I wanted to link that to what I heard Emmanuel Faber say, which was that, they had the data, but when things really changed was when they agreed at the board level that actually their whole governance structure could be designed such that a governance structure could be adopted such that they were in a position to respond to that data and make better decisions. So those are the 3 themes, Krisztina. And I will just end by saying, in the FT today, there's a piece in Moral Money talking about the standard setters that focus on the metrics bit, which provides that basis for progress to impact-weighted accounts, have come together today to declare an intention to work together towards comprehensive corporate reporting. So there's a groundswell happening, and we all need to support that and run together towards what the future could be. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And that's indeed quite a groundbreaking piece. So inviting everyone to have a look. Wow. We have some work ahead, but I guess 2 data points from today. Thanks, Clara, for this very positive note. We're 6 or 7 out of 10 to achieving what we want to achieve on impact measurement and transparency. That's very positive. And this morning, people were saying that in less than 5 years, we will be embedding impact into business, investment, and policy decisions. So 5 years is actually not so long away. Couple of quick takeaways from me around actions and what has changed. First of all, a lot of conversations around the fact that fighting climate change and fighting for social justice are exactly the same thing. One of the speakers was mentioning that, for example, the issue of plastics in the ocean is actually very linked to modern slavery in the global shipping industry. So what has changed is that there is now a mainstream recognition that these 2 topics are going hand in hand. Thanks for mentioning it again, but I feel that so many of the speakers have said how important governments are and how us as individuals are important in influencing the governments in creating better regulatory frameworks for all of this to work. But even more importantly, the collaboration between the governments and private sector. And we heard this from unusual speakers, I would say, and that's very encouraging. And finally, just ending on what we heard, accounting and transparency has been at the heart of most conversations, and that's the commitment that will really transform where we want to be. Handing over to you, Cliff, now for your concluding remarks, and thank you everyone for being with us.
Thanks, Krisztina. That was an awesome analysis of pretty much of the whole session, and I love Drew's line, get off this and do it now, but not quite yet. 10 more minutes, please, 10 more minutes. So my personal takeaway, Krystina's piece yesterday, what did she say? Sustainable finance and impact investing have a major role to play in shaping the post-COVID world. That from the boss of the IMF is just extraordinary. And I suppose also from going to the Africa session this morning, just hearing your determination in often very fragile economies with mainly informal job markets and income by the day, doing everything you possibly can, even with very thin resources, and respect to you all. And staying in Africa, Ibokan yesterday, no, the day before, when you solve a problem from the heart, your dedication is so different. Lovers of challenges make ripples around the world. This is about tools, it's about integration, collaboration, clarity, transparency, but also, as was being said, it's about purpose, it's about being intentional for this. So this is our finale after 3 days, hundreds of speakers, dozens of sessions. We have reached the tipping point. Now the impact movement is starting its new goal to make impact the new norm, intentional impact actions and impact considered in every decision. And even in these worst of times with COVID, we're moving ahead, helping more people towards better lives, developing impact across every sector. Our community is stronger than ever. And this kept coming up, unity, collaboration. Hala Thomas Detter said, the moment has come for radical collaboration, sitting down around the table with the affected people, communities, business, having a meaningful conversation, avoiding duplication, coming together with alignment, unifying. Now you've all delivered powerful actions and initiatives towards achieving a just and impact-led recovery to benefit all people and to preserve our planet. Paul Romer said, we can't expect corporate entities to set norms of right or wrong. We set the norms. We, as activists, citizens, voters, we are the activists. These actions will deliver the goals set out in our declaration letter. And you will have seen this. If you haven't already seen it, take a look at your inbox from yesterday. It might have gone into your spam box, but we've set out this declaration letter, which will go to governments, to investment leaders, corporate leaders, all around the world. It's embargoed until Tuesday, but you can sign up now. And we'll be putting an open sign up box online after the embargo. You can sign it now because we've sent you an email yesterday evening on this. It's the most outstanding opportunity for national advisory boards to reach out to your governments, to reach out to your media, and we'll be sending information to national advisory board leaders. And I hope that other wonderful market building agencies would also consider sharing this declaration letter with their own membership. Remember Hala's line, it's time for radical collaboration. Let's do it together. And with impact investors, to your colleagues, with corporate colleagues, with your boards, with academics, with your universities, wherever you stand. As Ronnie said at the end of his town hall, we need every part of our societies to achieve the change that we need to work together. This is a really unique opportunity to achieve that just and impact-led recovery. Let's do everything we can to create the momentum to make it happen. So we've had some really deep insights, some powerful conversations. You've all been so active, including on our leaderboard. for the most active participant in the summit system. And I'm delighted to announce that the winner of the leaderboard, the person who has been most active across the whole 3 days on this system, is Rehanzu Sitole, Impact Investment Analyst from South Africa. So congratulations to you, and your free pass to next year's summit will be on its way. I really hope that you found this summit as energizing and purposeful as I have. I want to thank you to the 25 volunteers, the 250 speakers, the amazing core team who delivered this event through thick and thin. We had tech glitches. I really hope they didn't affect you, but oh boy, did they affect our core team. I'd like to thank all 1,500 of you for your very, very active participation, your ideas, your actions, your commitments. Now, of course, we had been intending to be in Johannesburg right now, in person, right now. And COVID came, and we're hoping to see the world cooperating for a just and impact-led recovery from COVID and all its consequences in time for next year's summit. But we live with uncertainties. So whilst we hope to see you all in Johannesburg in 2021 in person, with thanks to our platinum sponsor, Old Mutual. But if not, we will still see you virtually in our 2021 summit. So to finish, thank you, all of you, for your absolute determination for a just and impact-led recovery, a recovery that needs all of our work on impact like never before, a recovery that creates the opportunity for impact to be the new norm, to be the new mainstream, a better future, a reimagined capitalism, better lives, a saved planet. Thank you. Enjoy the networking. I'll be around at the in the networking lounge for about an hour. But otherwise, I'm going to go back to Drew and say, get off this and do it now. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.